That fact echoed in my mind as clearly as the thunderous silence that followed my mistake. The chamber was vast, cathedral-like, carved from living crystal that pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins. Every step I took sent a whisper through the floor, as if the structure itself was aware of my presence. I had been trained to move quietly, carefully, but curiosity has a way of dulling discipline. And curiosity is what brought me here. I was a Xenotech specialist attached to the United Terran Exploration Corps, assigned to the Ardent Horizon, the first human vessel to establish formal contact with the Volari Dominion. The Volari were old, older than most known civilizations, and powerful in ways that made even hardened admirals nervous. Their empire spanned dozens of systems, held together not by brute force, but by reverence for their ruler, the alien queen. We had been warned repeatedly, do not offend the queen. Not with words, not with posture, not with actions. The Volari were a ceremonial people, and their traditions were sacred beyond measure. Even a misstep could be seen as a deliberate insult. So when the queen herself invited a small human delegation to her inner sanctum, it was considered both an honor and a test. I was there because I understood alien technology better than most, and because the queen had expressed interest in human adaptability. She wanted to observe us. That alone made my skin crawl. The chamber was empty when we entered, save for a massive dais at its center. Suspended above it was an object unlike anything I'd ever seen, an orb of dark, liquid light, swirling with internal storms of color. It hummed softly, a vibration I felt in my bones rather than heard with my ears. That must be it, whispered Commander Hale beside me. The heart of Valaris. I nodded slowly. The heart was legendary even among the Volari. A living artifact, said to be bonded to their queen, and perhaps to the Dominion itself. No one outside their species had ever been allowed this close before. We were supposed to wait. Instead, the orb pulsed, and something in my mind responded. I felt drawn to it, like gravity had shifted just for me. Every rational part of my brain screamed to stop, but my hand moved anyway, reaching out as if guided by instinct older than thought. The moment my fingers brushed its surface, the world stopped. The hum became a shriek. The light flared, flooding the chamber in blinding white and deep violet. My muscles locked, my breath caught in my chest, and terror unlike anything I'd ever known washed over me. Then she spoke. Who dares? The voice wasn't sound, it was presence. It pressed into my skull, heavy and absolute. The air thickened, and the temperature dropped so suddenly that frost crept along the crystal walls. The queen appeared as if reality itself parted to make room for her. She was enormous, easily twice my height, her form both regal and monstrous. Layers of iridescent armor flesh overlapped seamlessly, glowing with the same bioluminescence as the chamber. Her eyes, 3 of them, burned like stars on the verge of collapse. Every Volari escort dropped to their knees instantly. Every human froze. I was already frozen. Her gaze locked onto me, and the rage in it was enough to crush mountains. I could feel it physically, like an invisible hand closing around my spine, pinning me in place. You touch the heart, she said, her voice lower now, colder. The bond core of my reign, the soul of my people. I tried to speak, but my jaw refused to move. Panic clawed at me as I realized I couldn't even blink. Commander Hale managed to stammer, Your Majesty, it was an accident. He meant no disrespect. The queen didn't look at him. She stepped closer to me, each movement deliberate, controlled, yet vibrating with restrained fury. The chamber groaned softly in response, as if sharing her anger. Accident, she repeated. There are no accidents before the heart. She raised a clawed hand, and I knew, that I was about to die. Not violently, not quickly, but erased. Unmade. Then something unexpected happened. The heart pulsed again. Not violently this time, but rhythmically. The pressure holding me immobile eased slightly, just enough for me to draw a shaky breath. A warmth spread from my fingertips, up my arm, into my chest. The queen froze. Her eyes widened, just a fraction. "What are you?" she whispered. The rage in the chamber faltered, replaced by something far more dangerous. Uncertainty. I felt memories that weren't mine brush against my thoughts. Images of stars being born, of ancient wars, of a lone figure standing against cosmic annihilation. The heart wasn't just an artifact. It was a recorder, a witness, perhaps even a judge. And it was responding to me. I didn't mean to touch it. I finally managed to say, my voice hoarse. But when I did, it felt like it recognized me. The queen studied me in silence. The Volari around us trembled, clearly terrified not just of her anger, but of what this moment represented. "No outsider has ever been acknowledged by the heart," she said slowly. "Not in 10 millennia. She turned away from me, pacing in a tight circle, her claws clicking softly against the crystal floor. Each step sent ripples of power through the room. "You humans are fragile," she continued. "Short-lived. Chaotic. And yet you endure." She stopped and faced me again. The heart responds to resilience, to defiance in the face of extinction. Her eyes narrowed. "Tell me, human, how many times has your species faced annihilation?" I swallowed. "More than we like to count." She watched me carefully, then extended a tendril of energy from her palm, touching my chest. I gasped as images flooded my mind. Humanity fleeing a dying Earth, wars against machine intelligences, plagues, cosmic storms. Loss stacked upon loss, yet always followed by rebuilding. The queen recoiled slightly. "You should not exist," she murmured. "And yet you do." The tension in the chamber shifted. The rage was gone, replaced by something ancient and thoughtful. "You touched the heart without permission," she said at last. "For that, there must be consequence." My heart sank. "But," she continued, "you were not rejected. You were answered." She turned to the assembled Volari. "Hear me. This human is under my protection." Gasps rippled through the chamber. Commander Hale stared at me in disbelief. The queen faced me once more. "You will remain here, human. You will learn. And you'll tell me how a species so young carries such stubborn fire." I nodded, not trusting my voice. "Do not mistake this for mercy," she added. "If you betray my trust, my rage will not freeze you. It will end you." Despite everything, a strange calm settled over me. I had made a catastrophic mistake and somehow survived it. Over the cycles that followed, I learned more about the Volari than any outsider ever had. The queen questioned me endlessly about human history, about our failures, our recoveries, our refusal to lie down and disappear. In turn, she shared fragments of her own past. The Dominion had nearly fallen once, long ago. The heart had chosen her in the aftermath, binding her life to its power. She ruled not by conquest, but by being the living embodiment of survival. "You remind me of what we once were," she told me one cycle, her voice quieter than I'd ever heard it. "Before eternity made us cautious." Eventually, the day came when I was allowed to leave. As I stood before the queen one last time, she regarded me with an expression I now recognized as respect. "Return to your people," she said. "Tell them this. The Volari do not fear humanity." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But the universe should." When I stepped back onto the ardent horizon, my legs finally gave out. I had touched the wrong thing. But in doing so, I had shown an ancient empire what it meant to be human. And for the first time, the alien queen did not look at us with rage, but with anticipation. Years later, long after the Ardent Horizons First Contact mission became required study at every Terran academy, I finally understood what the alien queen had truly done that day. At the time, it felt like survival by miracle, like I had brushed against extinction and somehow slipped through a crack in fate. But survival wasn't her goal. Recognition was. Humanity's relationship with the Volari Dominion changed overnight. Trade routes opened. Joint research initiatives followed. Where other empires approached us with condescension or quiet fear, the Volari treated us as equals, dangerous equals. The kind you didn't underestimate twice. I returned home carrying no artifacts, no weapons, no secrets of Volari technology. What I carried instead was a message. When diplomats asked the Queen why she tolerated humans, why she protected a species still fumbling its way into the galactic community, her answer was always the same. Because they do not break, she said. They bend. They burn. They endure. The heart of Volaris never responded to another outsider. Not until years later, when the galaxy faced something far worse than diplomatic tension. An extragalactic swarm tore through the outer systems, consuming stars and civilizations with equal indifference. Entire empires collapsed in weeks. Fleets that had existed for millennia vanished without leaving wreckage behind. Panic spread faster than the enemy. And then the Volari Queen acted. For the first time in her reign, she called not just her dominion, but humanity. I stood beside her once more, older now, carrying scars earned far from crystal chambers. The heart pulsed violently overhead, reacting not to fear, but to resolve. "You were right," she said to me, her voice steady as annihilation loomed. "Your species was forged for this." Together, Volari precision and human recklessness formed an alliance the galaxy had never seen. We didn't win because we were stronger. We won because we refused to accept the idea of an ending. When the war finally ended and the stars grew quiet again, the Queen turned to me one last time. "You touched the wrong thing," she said, almost amused now. I shook my head. "No, Your Majesty. I touched the right thing." The heart glowed softly, as if in agreement. And somewhere deep within its ancient consciousness, humanity was no longer a curiosity, but a constant. A species the universe would have to reckon with, again and again, for as long as there were stars left to challenge us.